has greatly improved our crop breeding programs. Now, here, after studying about the male gametophyte, female gametophyte, and discussing about pollination, the next logical step in the whole process is going to be a process which is called as double fertilization. Now, what is this process of double fertilization? How does it occur? So let us understand the process of double fertilization and what it leads to. Okay, so there are certain events that will occur prior to this process of double fertilization. And the first one, I'll just list the events. It is going to be pollination. Okay, then there will be the development of the mature male gametophyte. I have taken into consideration that the development of mature female gametophyte has already occurred inside the ovule. There will be the germination of the pollen grain, followed by syphonogamy, where the pollen tube will carry the male gametes towards the egg for fertilization. Then the pollen tube will make its passage through the style, the stigma, and the ovary. It's a chemotactic movement which is influenced by calcium boron ion concentration gradient, and the pollen tube will be directed towards the ovule. Then there will be the entry of the pollen tube into the ovule. And if I draw this orthotropous ovule, if the pollen tube enters into the ovule from the micropylar end, it will be called porogamy. If it enters through the integuments, it is called mesogamy. If it enters into the ovule through the chalaza, it is called chalazogamy. So the entry of the pollen tube into the ovule can occur by these three steps, the most common being porogamy, the rarest being mesogamy. Now, I have said entry of pollen tube into the ovule. The next is the pollen tube entry into the embryo sac, which will be always from the micropylar end of the embryo sac through one of the degenerated synergies helped by its filiform apparatus. I have drawn an orthotoposum. That is why this is the position of the egg at the top. So now the pollen tube entry into the embryo sac is through one of the degenerated synergy, where the pollen tube enters with the help of the filiform apparatus, and that particular synergid is going to degenerate. So remember this for the answer. The entry of the pollen tube into the embryo sac will always be from the micropylar end of the embryo sac, irrespective of how the pollen tube enters into the ovary. Right? It will be through one of the degenerated synergids with the help of the filiform apparatus of that particular synergid. And then the pollen tube will rupture and there will be the release of two male gametes. Now, these two male gametes by cyclosis, cytoplasmic streaming, one of them will go towards the egg, the other will go towards the secondary nucleus. The two polar nuclei fuse, resulting in the formation of a diploid secondary nucleus. So we come to the last step, and that is the actual process of double fertilization. So let us see that process individually. The process of double fertilization. So now, one of the male gamete will fuse with the egg. Now, these two haploid cells will result in the formation of a diploid zygote. This is the first fertilization, or called syngamy. Now you're left with one more male gamete, which will fuse with the secondary nucleus, that is diploid, results in the formation of a triploid cell called primary endosperm nucleus. This is called second fertilization, or more correctly, it is called triple fusion. So we have used two male gametes for two processes at two different places. And syngamy and triple fusion together is called as double fertilization. It's a characteristic feature of only the angiosperms. Only the angiosperms, where totally five nuclei are involved. So this whole process together is called the process of double fertilization.